Hey, I heard you play the violin. Ooh, would you sell your soul to play the violin? Two sons slide your bow. I wanna collect it now from you. Hey, I heard you play the violin.
Hi, I'm Michael Leverts, and this is Fit to be Read. Light from Uncommon Stars by Ryka Aoki is a 2022 science fiction fantasy release with quite an imagination, not to mention a nomination for the 2022 Hugo Award for Best Novel. Light from Uncommon Stars features violin prodigies, artificial intelligence, a starship and galactic empire, demons, and donuts. I recommend this novel to the science fiction reader looking for modern social perspectives in the reading experience and with significant attention paid to characters, flawed as their personalities may be. This is a great read if you're looking for a science fiction title with transgendered and queer representation. I was initially inspired to read this as part of a buddy read with my friend Erica from The Broken Spine. I'll post a link to our discussion of this novel. As with each review on this channel, the episode will begin with a spoiler-free review to introduce you to the novel. Following the summary, I'll announce a 5 likes and 5 dislikes segment that will include spoilers for those who've read the novel and want to hear me unpack some more thoughts. Engage with me in the comment section and let me know if you've read this novel or if, based on the spoiler-free introduction, you think you might pick it up. Published in 2022, Light from Uncommon Stars presents its protagonist, Katrina Nguyen, a young violinist prodigy. Katrina is transgendered and she's in the process of transitioning. Both her femininity and her violining are met with hostility, violence, and abuse from her family, especially her father, and Katrina flees the abusive environment. While much of the story is from Katrina's point of view, the spotlight is shared with another main character, Shizuka Satomi, the Miranda Priestley or Anna Wintour of the violin world. From the moment that she's introduced, there is no mistaking that Satomi is the king or queen maker of violinist talent. Several times, 6 to be exact, she's taken raw talent and molded it into world-renowned celebrity. But at what cost? The cost of her soul, to be frank. Literally, this is well known about the book, and it's not at all a spoiler. Shizuka is known as the Queen of Hell. Long ago, she sold her soul to the devil, and in order to trade to get it back, she needs to deliver the souls of 7 talented violinists. Shizuka and Katrina's paths will, of course, cross. Also crossing paths with Shizuka is the starship captain, donut shop entrepreneur, Lan Tron. Lan and her crew / family are refugees fleeing the Galactic Empire, living in East LA as proprietors of a local notable donut shop. What keeps the story moving at a fast pace are the interactions and nuanced relationships among the main cast. Katrina and Shizuka navigate Katrina's coming of age and her recovery from the trauma of an abusive family and an intolerant world. Shizuka and Lan discover, only after a number of cultural and ethical hurdles, a love and a bond that cannot be contained to just one small corner of the universe, and all of them, Katrina, Lan, and Shizuka, race against time and the limitations of the physical world to thwart the demon Tremon's soul lust. It is time for Tremon to collect on his deal with Shizuka, and he's ready to take delivery of a soul, and he does not appear to be short on options. The novel is not without its head-shaking moments. There's a lot of tell without the show when it comes to Shizuka and Lan's insta-love relationship, and there's quite a bit left unanswered about Katrina's nearly sycophantic devotion to Shizuka. Despite its head-scratching moments, so much of this novel is fit to be read. Transgendered and queer representation in the novel is refreshing for the genre, while the relationship between Shizuka and Lan did not feel as if it evolved organically and it lacked any sense of real chemistry. It was at times believable, and the romance eventually evolved through an examination of principles and ethics rather than physicality. Also adding to the pace of the read was the mystery surrounding Tremon the demon and what options there might be to change the terms of his deal. The reader also spends much of the book questioning if there's more to Shizuki's role in the delivering of the souls of her former students, as well as what her true intentions are with Katrina. Where I bonded with these characters came from a sense of compassion and empathy, but what inhibited my connection and any real investment in any of them were the very obvious flaws in their judgment and morality relative to the souls that had already been delivered to Tremon. More on that in the spoiler section. Spoiler section, you say? Oh, I said that? Let's not get caught up on who said what, dear viewer. Instead, let's get caught up with my 5 likes and 5 dislikes, including spoilers, for Ryka Aoki's Light from Uncommon Stars. Dislike number 1. There's a savior tone and found family themes that on the surface feel heartwarming and positive, though at the same time, it's competing with a little bit of loss of agency rearing its head. I think the intent is a feel-good notion of Katrina being rescued and saved by Lan and Shizuka, almost outdoing each other as a savior, but with Katrina reduced almost to being nothing more than a victim in need of being saved. Rightly so, she deserves a break and she deserves to be saved, but I think that the sense of her strength and independence gets stepped on quite a bit. Alright, dislike number 2, Donut Lady and Sunglasses Lady are guilty of insta-love trope. The story really lays no groundwork for any credible evolution of attraction beyond just the superficial. In that sense, it's fine. People can get infatuated immediately just based off of a physical attraction, so that's not hard to accept. I just think that in this book, initially, there's a lot of insta-everything, and it sort of pretends to be the opposite. In regards to Lan and Shizuka, the story pretends that it went beyond that they just thought each other was hot and there was something deeper. That's fine, but then I need some proof. Another insta moment that feels all too convenient driving the story and its intentions along is when Satomi takes Katrina to a different violin repair shop, and it's a big deal that they're going somewhere that's not quite normal. Why not just go there in the first place? Like number 1, while I typically wince when a minority character is being saved by a more affluent or privileged character, I value in this book the repetitiveness of Satomi correcting people and not letting any misgendering of Katrina slide. These are all moments in the book that subtly educate readers who've maybe not had their lives intersect with transgendered individuals. Like number 2, I somewhat enjoyed reading about the violin repair person's life and family, and what surprised me was that while I know zero about renowned violin designers, the intricacies of things affecting a violin's sound, and the different elements and technical terms related to the violin, I enjoyed all of the small technical details. It evoked an interest in me to find out more about violins. I even went on Google and looked up different types of violins and things that affect their sound. This reminds me of when I read Ken Follett's Pillars of Earth, and it inspired me to do the same basic kind of research on cathedral architecture. Dislike number 3, I alluded earlier to the Devil Wears Prada vibes, and unfortunately in this novel, Shizuka fails to back up the Miranda Priestley-ness. It just didn't work for me. This was really an all-tell, no-show issue in the story. Dislike number 4, even before deciding to use the cursed bow to save Shizuka, Katrina seemed to all too ready, eager, and agreeable to trade her soul for really nothing in return. It's not hard to infer that her backstory leads her to devalue herself, but that doesn't quite track with her new claimed sense of strength and her owning of letting her soul sing triumphant. Like number 3, though it maybe wasn't her initial intent, the idea that the cursed bow would make people listen is a neat little trick to the story to employ an activism disallowing anyone at the concert from ignoring the transgendered performer. She would be heard and they couldn't turn their backs to her. Like number 4, the sleight of hand near the end of the book when Satomi and Lan duplicated the death bow, I considered that that might happen, but it was still a surprise. Better yet, many of the feel-good moments in the book up to this point were at best mild, making this really stand out. Katrina's realization that her violin playing truly resonated with the crowd was the first really organic feeling feel-good moment. Like number 5, Shirley was my favorite character, and the most heartwarming part of the story is when Lan calls her by her last name and says that she loves her. Shirley, while the most artificial being in the story, is the one that feels the most real and engenders the most empathy. Dislike number 5, it's almost ludicrous that the concrete donut can serve as the scaffolding for a Stargate. Even reinforced, I just can't buy in that the concrete would not have been rejected for a more durable material. While we're at it, why is Fireball Tremon coming around for another pass? After he had already impacted Lan's ship, he's already there. In aerial battles, one comes around for another pass because aeronautic vehicles are large with limited maneuverability. Tremon is not a craft, it's just him. This is just a too obvious, convenient way to give more suspense and maybe also time for the main characters to get away. I also have a few questions that I'm left with for this novel, so let's get to those too. Question number 1. Shizuka fled and escaped from the demon so that she would not yet die and have her soul taken. So what happens when she dies wherever she ends up? Is there a different afterlife option in the area of the universe where she and Lan eventually reside? Question number 2. When did Katrina know the plan? She seems stunned with the bow trick, so she didn't know then. But when Shizuka is on the craft, there's this moment when it's revealed that Katrina was in on the escape plan. Her ignorance of one plan and her awareness of the other don't seem as if they should coexist. It just doesn't track. I wonder if this was a mistake in the writing, while I completely accept that I maybe just misunderstood. So a few things don't quite add up, and these characters are all somewhat complicit or too accepting of souls previously being damned to suffer in the fires of hell, making me not really care about any of them. Despite this, I enjoyed the reading experience, and I felt that it was a real page-turner. And I'll leave you with this quote from the middle of the book. Who needs the devil when people can create a hell like this themselves? Thank you for watching. I'm Michael Leverts. This is Fit to be Read.